Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into this edition of Reporter's Notebook. It is Friday, and that means it's Touchdown Friday. And so I have a very special guest joining me. Hello, Mr. Brian Bailey.
Hello. Every Friday's Touchdown Friday. Although we did our last Touchdown Friday last week for the season, but we've still got a big night ahead with the Eastern Finals.
And so can you explain what exactly Touchdown Friday is? Because, I'm new to the area.
Okay, we got you.
And it was postponed, was it not this year?
Well, yeah, high school football was postponed in the fall, and so we decided that when the North Carolina High School Athletic Association decided to move it to the spring, we talked about it and we decided that, hey, we want to give, because it's become part of a tradition in Eastern North Carolina. I mean, we started it back in, 87 or 88, something like that, with doing an expanded high school football show. Several years ago, we started doing a half an hour on Friday nights. So on Friday nights, from 11 to 11:05, news and weather would do their thing, and then 11:05 to 11:35 was all basically football. We didn't go the whole half hour just because of some other factors involved in the spring, but we were still able to do 15 to 20 minutes every Friday night during the high school football season. It was only 7 weeks in the regular season, and then it went to the playoffs, and we went 2 weeks in the playoffs with our Touchdown Friday show. And then tonight we've got 5 games that we'll be able to get highlights of. So we'll flash those up and have them tonight at 11 o'clock.
And so there's a real culture around Friday Night Lights and football. Has that changed with the pandemic and how things kind of have, how everyone kind of had to change their own kind of routine and schedule and this new normal? Has that culture been affected?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's obviously it's affected us all, but you got to remember, these high school football players, they didn't get, even the high school baseball players, their season last year was cut off, and then they didn't get to start until this year. So they've had a long, long wait. High school football had to sit out the whole fall, and the fall was completely different for all of us because, those guys that play high school football in Eastern North Carolina, I'm sure their week consists of practice. You play a game on Friday. If you're fortunate enough to get tickets, you go see East Carolina play, or you go to some of the ACC schools because we've got so much going on as far as football goes in our state. And it was all different this year. And then, playing in the spring has really been odd because, like a day like today, I came in to work on the show tonight for the high school football games, and I'm rolling on the East Carolina-Wichita State baseball game. Usually this time of year, Pirate baseball is the big thing, and it is the big thing, but we've got 2 big things right now with high school football.
Right, yeah, exactly. And what's the difference between covering high school football and college football?
You get more access, I think, on the sidelines for the high school football. There are many more schools to cover than college football. The game is not as quick, as fast on the high school ranks as it is in college. But in a lot of ways it's very similar. What we try to do here, and we have so many new people that come in, and we need help from just about everybody for our show. You can't do a 30-minute show without help from just about all corners of the station, and I've been blessed to have that kind of help. But we teach the photographers, stay 10 yards ahead of the football. Hustle on the sidelines. You've got if you're behind the play or if you're not rolling when the play starts, you can't get it back, and it takes people a while to get used to it. And then when you step up from a high school game to a college game, then you realize, hey, it's really fast and it's a lot different.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you about the fans. Have you ever been heckled, or have you had any interactions with the fans in the past few years?
No, for the most part, most people are really, really nice. I mean, I've gone to places where the students started chanting Brian Bailey or, fun things like that, just to, they want to get on TV, and they say, if they say my name, we'll go put them on, which we usually do. And sometimes schools will think they're being slighted. That happens from time to time. We try to get every team that we possibly can. During the season, we obviously drift toward the teams that have winning records because their games, as the race for the playoffs goes on, we think about that, but we still try to get everybody as many times as we can. In Pitt County, we really we start in Pitt County because that's where we're from. And then we really try to branch out. We try to do a great job in Craven, try to do a great job in Lenoir. We try to, Tarborough's been a big key for us in Edgecombe County for many years. And then we branch out from there. Jacksonville's a huge area for us. And we've been lucky the last several years, to have photographers down there that they kind of get used to what's going on as far as the Jacksonville teams are concerned, the Onslow County teams. And we've just got football all over, high schools all over. So it's really a challenge because I usually start on Sundays during football football season and try to put a schedule together, because I got to put who all can work and where they can go and try to send everybody to about 2 games. Sometimes guys will get 3 if they're really quick and really good, but 2's, you usually do a good job. If you go to 3, you can't just show up to a game and shoot 2 plays and then leave and call it highlights. And that's what I've always believed in.
So let's talk about some of the people that you do work with and who you heckle. Okay, so we have Kelsey and we have Nolan.
Do I heckle them?
Yeah.
Someone call it constructive criticism.
Oh, is that what it is?
No, it's heckling.
Okay.
Yeah, it
so
is.
who do you give a harder time, or who gives you a harder time? And I would probably say it's Nolan. Nolan probably gives you a harder time, but what's your experience with
No, they both of them have been really, really good for us because they're both young. What happens when you get to be a veteran like myself is you don't. Sometimes you don't see all you see is what you know, and you know a lot because you've been here a lot. But every once in a while, somebody will come in like social media and all that stuff. I don't know hardly anything about some of that stuff. I'm trying to learn more and more, and they're really good at that. We kind of heckle each other. I mean, I think every once in a while they'll get me on something and laugh. What I try to do, and I will always try to do, is if somebody makes a mistake on the air, you don't want to ridicule them, but you want to correct them because you don't want them to make it again and again. And I've told people that before. If you hear me say something that's wrong, and Ken Watlington does a good job of that because he knows a lot about sports. He worked in sports in Ohio for a number of years. He's a good guy. And if I make a mistake on it, he'll tell me. He doesn't mean to hurt my feelings or anything. He'll say, hey, they played in Charlotte tonight, and I'll say, oh man, I thought they were in New York. And I'll correct it the next time. So because if nobody tells you what you're doing wrong, you just keep doing it over and over and over. One of my pet peeves, and my people don't do it, but anchors will say the word "well" 1,000,000 times in a newscast. If you watch, just about all of them, because they want to transition to a next story, and instead of just talking about the next story, they go, well, in Greenville today, blah, blah, blah. Well, so, I mean, and that's just one of the things, that I look for because somebody corrected me on it years and years ago.
So now I'm going to heckle you a little bit.
All right, go ahead, heckle on.
So someone told me to ask you about your nickname. What's your nickname? What's that about?
My nickname?
Your nickname. Jason, our digital content manager, told me to ask you about your nickname.
My nickname? What he's talking about?
Sure.
No, I really...
playing sly with me.
No, I mean, when I was in school, I was called Boo, B-O-O, and Cheap Trick had an album called Cheap Trick at Budokan. I think that's where it came from, Budokan, or Buddha, because I had a big belly, so maybe they thought I was Buddha, but I was called that. But my nickname, I don't know what Jason's talking about.
Okay.
You have to ask him.
I'll ask him. I'll ask him later for sure. And then Kelsey wanted me to ask you, why are you always so comfortable? Why do you dress so comfortable?
Oh, why
Is that true?
I dress comfortable because that's the way I want to dress. Okay. I like to wear something very basic. I like to put the coat and tie on at the last second. As soon as I get off the air, I like to take the coat and tie off. On Fridays, I've been going back to casual Fridays, so I've been wearing a little, it's not really a mock, but it's kind of a t-shirt look with a jacket, and haven't gotten in trouble yet, so I'm going to keep doing it until they tell me not to. But I do have a tendency to be a little casual.
Well, that's, on Saturdays, when I work Saturdays, I try to dress as comfortable as I can.
I think you should.
Little makeup, because if we're going to be out and about and it's hot and everything
that's
like
right.
that. Exactly, yeah. Okay, so are you from North Carolina?
No, I'm from, I was born in West Virginia in Bluefield. Funny thing, my hospital was the Bluefield Sanitarium. That's a true story. And it doesn't even exist anymore. My parents moved shortly thereafter. Their whole upbringings were there. My grandmother lived there through the years. We'd go visit and stuff, my aunts and uncles. But they moved to Chesapeake, Virginia when I was about 2 or 3, I think. And so I lived in Chesapeake, which is a great area, 2 hours north of here. And I grew up Indian River High School, loved my high school, went to school at Old Dominion in Norfolk, and I transferred to James Madison, and I went to like 12 different colleges in 4 years. Somehow I got out in 4 years, got my degree from Old Dominion back at ODU, and I was very fortunate to get the job here because you think about it, we're in a whole different world than Norfolk is. But it's only 2 hours away. So if my parents need me, I can get there in 2 hours. If my brothers need me, I can get there in 2 hours. But I've got my own world down here, I mean, I've been fortunate to be here 37 years, and I know most of the people in Greenville, Eastern North Carolina. But once you get past the Virginia, over the Virginia border, nobody knows me, which is good.
Well, part of the reason why I was asking you is because your favorite football team is the Dallas Cowboys.
It
Is
is.
that right? Yeah.
It is, and the reason for that, when I was growing up, I can just remember Dallas had a couple of really tough years, and they've had some recently, of course. But they would get close, and they had an NFL Films, year-end look at the Cowboys called Next Year's Champions because they could never win it. And finally, they got over the hump, and they won in '72. They won the Super Bowl. I fell in love with Roger Staubach, the quarterback. I just thought he was awesome. I mean, he brought the Cowboys back so many times, and Drew Pearson. And just as a kid, you develop heroes, and they were mine. And I just thought it was the greatest thing ever. I watched football with my dad. I'd go out and we talk with my buddies, and some of my buddies were Washington fans, and that's our big rivals, and it just turned into I didn't know it'd be a lifelong deal, but it's bad. I mean, I got my bonus room up in my house has got all kinds of Dallas Cowboy stuff and stuff I'm proud of, stuff I like, and I'd like to see them win another Super Bowl before I die, though, and that may not happen.
Well, I don't want to jinx anything, but have you been to the Star?
Oh, yes, in Frisco. I had a chance before the pandemic hit in the fall of 19. We went to see ECU play SMU, and then that weekend I had it all planned. We landed our plane at 12:30. At 1:30, we had a tour of AT&T Stadium, and then at 4:30 that afternoon, we had a tour of the Star in Frisco, Texas, and it was fabulous, unbelievable.
Well, there's a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans I've noticed out here in the East. And, I'll be driving around and I'll see like a Dallas Cowboy sticker.
America's team.
Like that. Yeah, that's right. That's right. God's favorite team too. So wrapping up this interview.
Hey.
Okay. So I have one last question for you.
What's that?
What is the best post-game Friday night meal when everything's already, done and everything's wrapped up? What do you look forward to, or is there a certain fast food restaurant or meal that you're kind of just like, yeah?
Well, we used to always go out. Professor O'Cool's is not here anymore, but back in the day when we first started doing this, we would all get the whole staff to go to O'Cool's, and we've done it at AJ McMurphy's in town as well. And we would go there and just put nachos and stuff like that on the table. Everybody would just kind of enjoy it. Everybody throw their money in it at the end of the night, and we'd have a good time. And then now places close a little earlier, and we haven't had a chance to do all of that. We've been very fortunate this year, though. The sales folks upstairs, Joe Bullard and Company, hooked us up with Familia, which is a great Italian restaurant. We were there last night, as a matter of fact, but they've been doing pizzas for the whole staff, and I think that the staff really enjoys that because Friday nights are hectic during touchdown Fridays, and everybody's got a job to do. They've got to get their stuff on time. They've got to write their shot sheets. They've got to do their packages. And it all comes together somehow, but it's kind of a reward for them. So we've been very, very fortunate to have that this year. That's been pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this evening's edition of Reporter's Notebook. And of course, I will look forward to asking Jason what.
I got to figure out what he's saying. What do you think about nicknames?
I know, that is quite interesting. All right, everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful Friday night.